All right, so now we're going to go on to the next segment of this video and this edit, and that is composition, stabilization, reframing, all of these really important things that I feel like a lot of videographers don't know about or they just skip. It is kind of time consuming, but I think it makes a huge difference in the final product. It helps your films look more consistent, and that your couples know that what they've seen on your website, that they'll get something very similar. So the only thing I added the titles and I swapped 2 shots, but other than that, I think you guys saw me lay all of this out. And so yeah, let me just get started with composition and reframing, and then we'll get into color correction and color grading. All right. So in Final Cut, for some reason, it does not come with its own adjustment layer. I had to find this online and install it. It was made for Final Cut X, but it's not. It's like I guess it's a plugin. I do not know why they do not have adjustment layers in here. I think it is. I think actually adjustment layers are Adobe Premiere thing. Maybe that's who invented adjustment layers. I don't really know. Maybe Final Cut's not allowed to put it in their native software, or it's software put it in their software natively. So I don't know. Anyways, it's easy to go Google adjustment layer for Final Cut X. You quick install, but you Adobe people already have this. So anyways, I put an adjustment layer over the whole thing, and I'll stretch it out in a second. But what I add to the adjustment layer is, where am I? Let's see, for some reason I always have to search for it. So Letterbox. I also installed a third-party Letterbox, but I realized the Final Cut Letterbox was the same. So, and so what we do is we do the, I don't even know what you call it. I don't even know what you call this, you guys. 2.35 to 1 ratio. Okay, so this is ultra wide. This is more like cinema, like theater style ratio. And the only reason we do this, I do think it gives an element of something a little bit more cinema-like in the movie theater, real wide. But the biggest reason I do this is so I can crop and zoom and reframe. And because, let me just show you a real quick example. I mean, where's like a really, I don't see it like a majorly crooked shot. Okay, so let's come over here to this drone shot because I also need to rotate this and reframe it. So that's another reason I use the letterbox, the wider letterbox, is I can reframe, like I can kind of reposition where I want the focal point to be. There's a lot of times I can actually take something out that's distracting in the shot just by reframing it like this. I'm trying to decide if I want the horizon in here. It's a little, the house is a little low if we keep the horizon in. So let me rotate. I just kind of want to focus maybe just on the trees are in the background. So I feel like the house actually might only need a 0.5 rotation, real small. If I wanted to, I could just change this to 100.5%. I'm just going to leave it at 101. But I wanted to show you guys with this one particularly is that I'm going to distort this image. I don't really like, it's coming in at an angle. And I feel like I just kind of want to either squish it or stretch it out a little bit to try to make it look less like it's coming at an angle and more like it's coming straight on. So let's play around with the distort panel here. Doing that, just rotating the whole right side of the screen is kind of like bringing, let's see, it's like bringing the right side of the house to me, like towards the camera, and actually it looks like it corrects that angle a little bit. So I like that way. That looks a lot better. And let me see, I feel like I'm going to frame down a little bit more. I'm okay seeing a little bit of that haze of the horizon. It almost doesn't even need to be rotated. It's so minor, maybe negative 0.25. I'm just looking right here at this line right here. I'm wanting this to be, I could pull up a grid if I want to, but I typically just do this by eye. And I am going to go ahead and get the horizon more out of this shot. Just a smidge. So I think that works. So, it's kind of everything we did. Oh, that's just the wide angle fix. Yeah, the distort, it was a pretty big change. Just something about that looks off angle, and then that just corrects it for me. Okay. So what else do I compose? So when I just go through every single shot, like here's a drone shot, I'm just going to reframe this to have this, I want as much of the bottom in here as possible. So there it is right there. This shot here, I'm just going to, let's see, something else you look for is what's in focus, and you can really draw the attention to what's in focus. So I like how that's framed. If I had gone further this way, it really crops Tom out. And I guess that could work, but I liked seeing more of his neck, I guess. So I just feel like that right there really centers. This is like the focal point right here, and it really centers the focal point. The framing of this I think is okay. I mean, I guess I could bring her down just a little bit more. Let me just play here. That's actually not bad either. You can also play with negative space if you like negative space. You can have more headroom and stuff like that. So I am going to get rid of more of her feet and have more of this green. Actually, I think I like it just right there. So a lot of this is preference. A lot of this is correction. So I think I'm good with that. I like seeing his full body, and he still has an appropriate amount of headroom here, so I'll just leave that. Now for this one, I don't want to see as much road, I don't think. Let me bring his feet down a little bit. So it just comes down a little bit. And then here, we want to focus more on Braylee's face because it's a focal point. And this, did we already bring it up? All we did was rotate it and straighten it. Somehow that got undone. Okay, so that needed to be zoomed in a little bit because we rotated it. And I'm just going to bring it up just a smidge, just because she's kind of low. And I think it's okay if we just kind of graze the top of his head. It's kind of what you have to do. Like, you kind of have to play with, you might have to break some rules a little bit if, you have a real tall groom and a short bride or something like that. You might have to graze the top of his head occasionally, but hopefully when you filmed them, you left enough space, like you were far back enough where it's not too awkward. And this, I think is fine. I think I like it. Right? I still like, so that for me, the focal point is her eyes. So it's okay if I cut off her chin. And I'm just gonna bring this up a little bit too, a little bit, her eyes a little bit more towards the middle. And we need to stretch this out. And I'm not gonna show you guys every single clip. I am just showing you enough for you to get an idea of what I do. So I just wanted to be able to see his feet. So I went as far down as I could to see his feet. And so the focal point here, we have two options. It could be her hand. Sorry, you guys, I have a little bit of a cold today, which I think I really like. I think I like the focal point being her hand. It could also be up here. I don't know, both are really good. And this comes down to personal preference. I think I like, it's like a little more abstract, not being able to see her face, especially since we jumped to a big close-up shot of her here. And I definitely want her eyes to be the focal point here. I feel like her mouth being in the shot is a little distracting. I don't know. I just want the viewer to connect with her eyes. So I'm just going to bring her eyes a little bit more down into as far down as I can go. And it kind of centers up right there. So that's perfect. And that looks pretty straight. I don't think I need to change that angle. I'm just going to bring it up a little. Let's see what's less weird. Sometimes I just have to take a look. Actually, I think I like it with more bottom space, because if I have more top space, their heads are just still cut off. It almost, I mean, I guess honestly, I feel like either one would work. I'm just going to go ahead and frame towards the bottom. I think it's just a preference thing. I don't think there's anything right or wrong about either. I don't need to do anything to the title. And this one's crooked again. So I'm going to come back here, rotate. Oops, I always go the wrong way. And scaled 101, and give him a little bit more headroom again. And we're good. So what I also do during this phase is I can kind of tell when I'm just scrubbing through what I need to stabilize. And so I'll go ahead and start stabilizing stuff. I just use the stabilization tool right here in Final Cut. I don't think these might need it, that I can add later, but I definitely know all of this stuff is handheld. It all is going to need to be stabilized. I can just see it scrubbing through here being a little rough. So I'm just going to go click. Now, if anybody knows how to run stabilization in Final Cut X and it not go to automatic, because I go back and change it to a more custom smooth cam. If anybody knows how to change that, let me know. So I just reframed the pastor to give him more headroom. I'm just going to bring their hands up a little bit. Just want it to be more in the middle. Yes, I think I want to see the lights a little bit more towards the bottom. And a lot of times I actually feel like with the Ronin, I also need to do the wide angle fix. Let's see, I feel like I went the wrong direction though. Okay, maybe not that. Because normally that's when you're close up on something. With a wide angle, I'm far. I just want to make this tree straight. So this tree is straight in real life, I think. So I'm just going top left, it's just here, and pull that tree up, 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 up. There we go. Now we have a straight tree. It's still a little crooked, but it's not nearly like it was falling over before. And I'm going to make this house a little straighter. So top right, I'm going to pull those. And actually, I think the bottom left, bottom right is what needs help here to get this house straight. I don't want to start cutting out the image because then I have to zoom in. So I want to try to do as much as I can. So that means I need to keep working on the top right to try to straighten that. So that's better. And back to top left. This is really stretching this image. So that, it's like tapering towards the top. It's a beautiful shot, but I just really wanted that corrected. And then I'm going to see a little bit more feet. Let's see. I mean, the tree is so pretty. Maybe I should go up this way. Something else I want to point out is when you're recomposing stuff, as you just saw, like I moved the shot first and then I rotated it. Hang on, let's go back. So I moved this down, rotated it, again the wrong way. And then when I did my normal, well, I guess this is a possibility. If you go too far up, it's fine before you rotate it. But when you rotate it, suddenly you have more of a gap. So you just got to keep an eye on that too. So this is not perfect. There are little areas that you could miss mistakes. So just try to really keep an eye out for those. You don't want to deliver your films, or even worse, post it, gets a million plays, and then you realize there's like black gaps, in the corners of your video or footage showing through or something. So this one is an example of, it didn't need to be rotated. I tried rotating it and it didn't fix my lines. The lines here were tapering in and the lines here are tapering in this way. So there's like kind of a cone coming down. Oh, it just got done stabilizing. And so instead I distorted it. So I brought out the bottom left. So let me just redo this again. So I'm just going to bring out the bottom left, make those lines straight over here. But then we got this line still, but so I'm going to just pull out the bottom right and make that line straight. So we get rid of that coning. And it's so minor, but when you're fixing these little anomalies, I think it makes a difference over the quality of your films versus what other people are doing or not doing. So this is another good example. There's really nothing wrong with this shot, but just by cropping the floor out, I think it gives a much less distractions in the shot. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me just show you guys. So if I crop out the floor, that is a much cleaner looking shot. Let me show you guys again. And I might have to do with two because there's a little plug here. But anytime you can just get a good clean shot, like you want it, you don't usually want the floor in your shots or the ceilings. So if you can just crop those out so you can just really focus on what the focal point is, that'll strengthen the quality of your shots.